One of the many benefits of attending baseball games at Dietrich Park is you never know who you're likely to meet at the game. During the 1999 season, we ran into the renowned baseball analyst Bob Ryan.
Firefighter lineup and the 1-2 pitch. Curveball. Rodriguez steps on home plate and
Oh, no, go ahead. You've written about minor league baseball. Here you are in minor league baseball. What's your reaction? Jamestown, New York.
A very classic, small town, 1940s ballpark. Obviously, these aren't the original seats, I don't think. Well kept up, a beautiful night. It was a beautiful night for baseball. If I could some year get it off and get the time, I would spend an entire summer and I'd go to every venue in minor league baseball. That would be a goal. There's no question. I love nothing more than to be somewhere away from the mainstream, looking at this baseball pure. And especially, the lower the better. The more kids I get to see, the better.
Any reason why you're in Jamestown? Is this
just the circumstance of my destination is Detroit. I'm coming from Boston. I was looking for a place to go to a game the first night.
Yeah. In
the New York Penn League, I've been to Batavia, I've been to Auburn in the past, I've been to Oneonta, and it just so happened that Jamestown was perfectly located, and thank God they were home.
They were home.
So that's it.
So you wrote a book, what, 20-some years ago?
I wrote a book called Wait Till I Make the Show about the minor leagues in 1973, and it was the most entertaining personal project that I ever had. I never had more fun in a big project than I had. I went everywhere from Trois Rivières to Honolulu, touched every classification, saw so many people on the way up who became somebody, plus some very memorable people who didn't exactly ever make it. It was just an educational experience and just a personal fun experience. I've never enjoyed anything more.
Is there a sequel?
I'd love to do a sequel. The funny thing about minor league baseball is that all the trappings have certainly changed. Business, which it was not in the early 70s. Mm-hmm. But the one thing that has never changed and never will change is what goes on between the lines and in the clubhouse. The dynamics of the relationships and the promotion circumstance and everyone's little story, that will never change. Everything that goes on in the business sense has been escalated much beyond the scope that anyone could have foreseen at that time. But the stories in that clubhouse and on that field are precisely the same as they were 26 years ago. And I would love to go through it all again.
What's the most memorable story you've heard?
It's the most memorable story. That's a hard one. I'm not prepared to answer that one. I remember managers telling me the hardest thing you have to do is cut somebody. Yep. The guys they all have their stories. I had a guy tell me stories just to get in the book. You know, I think he made them up, but seriously, he wanted to be in the book, so he got in the book. But it's just a matter of seeing at the lowest level, seeing the people, knowing they have the dreams, the aspirations, seeing how hard they work, seeing what they go through, seeing the frustration, but seeing some things. See, here's what people don't understand at the big league level. They don't understand this, or most people don't understand this at all, even at this level, that it is on any given night in the summer, the best game of baseball, technically, that will be played that night doesn't have to be in the big leagues. For one night, it could be in this league, it could be in the Appalachian League, it could be in the Midwest League, it could be in the PCL. It doesn't matter. For one night, come back the next night, and the same players will perform in a little league level, perhaps, because it's all about consistency. But if you want, you never know what you're going to see. We saw a guy tonight strike out 9 people in the first 10 people in 3 2/3 innings. He didn't finish the ball game. Yep. And I know he's done this before this season. We saw 3 guys thrown out stealing on great throws. So we saw some excellent baseball. And wherever the best game of baseball was tonight, it didn't necessarily have to take place in Boston or New York. It may very well have taken place in Eugene, Oregon. Who knows?
Is baseball your favorite sport?
Yes, always was. I think it's the best game ever invented by man. It's an incredible luck of the draw that Alexander Cartwright codified this game, made it 90 feet, did the things that were necessary to make it the organized game that it is today, and I'm glad he did.
So anything new? If you were the commissioner of baseball, what would you do to improve this?
I would, at the highest level, the game is overmanaged. It's totally micromanaged to the point of boredom. I would let pitchers go longer. I would go back to 4-man rotations. Without question, the micromanaging of baseball, the specialization of baseball. I would get rid of the DH without question. It's an eyesore and an abomination. I would try to make the game a little bit more as it was in its best days, and maybe let them leave the gloves on the field.
Ted Williams, is he right in considering Joe Jackson for the Hall of Fame?
That's a sticky wicket. You read conflicting accounts of what actually happened, and he hit 375, and did he do anything bad? Did he just not report the bribe? I'd like to believe that Joe Jackson was a ill-educated, misled rube who maybe took the money and then knew he couldn't throw the baseball games and should be forgiven for who he was and what he was. And to answer your next question, the answer is no, never, until he says I did it, and I'll drive Pete Rose right to the airport and put him in. People don't understand why Pete Rose was suspended. He was suspended for very good reasons. He's banned for life for a very good reason, and he has proven he likes gambling more than baseball. It's that simple.
Boy, I tell you, anticipated that, didn't he? It's good for you. Did you cry when we were watching the All-Star game?
It was hard not to be misty.
Yeah.
It was one of those things that had they scripted it, they couldn't have. It never would have worked.
Yeah.
It was totally spontaneous. It was a wonderful moment, and at that moment when it was over, the PA announcer could have said, "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming. Drive home safely," because there was no need for a ball game.
Yeah. What's your biggest thrill?
I would say, in baseball coverage, I would have to say the 6th game of the 1975 World Series.
Mm-hmm.
That World Series in general, and the 6th game, starting with Bernie Carbo's home run, the last 4 innings of that game, with the tension and the stakes involved, were as good as baseball gets for drama. And culminating with the great New England hero hitting the game-winning home run. If you could have just frozen everything right there and saved the Red Sox one more heartache in the 7th game of the World Series, it would have been better off. But that game was spectacular. I don't think I'll ever forget that.
Who did you work for then?
I've only worked for one paper.
Sure.
One paper, Boston Globe.
Yeah.
31 years.
No kidding. Well, just a little historical vignette. Here in little old Jamestown, Faulkner, New York, is the hometown of Hugh Bedient.
And Red Sox.
1912, beat Christy Mathewson.
Yeah.
Huge local hero. And for years, he lived here till the early 1960s. But that's our linkage to the Boston Red Sox.
Very good. Well, I studied the list of the names of who have come through here and played for the various organizations, and I just so happy to be in a place where there's a nice little history, and it's not that the new parks are nice, but you don't need them. You don't need a new park at this level. This is the way to me. This way, look around the polls, look out there, think about what's going on here in the last 58 years. This is the way minor league baseball should be.
Has Welland Zone treated you well?
Nah. Yes, I was taken care of. We were treated like royalty. It was very kind.
That's terrific.